Let me ask you something. Are you a chef or a cook? No? Well, have you ever found yourself alone at home, hungry and decided to cook something? Yes? How did you manage? You probably found a recipe book, chose a recipe for a dish you wanted to eat, and even though you didn't know much about cooking that dish, you followed the instructions step by step, and voila! Your delicious dish was ready and waiting to be eaten. Hi everyone, welcome to STEMophile. I'm Imran Shah, and in this video, we'll be talking about what programming is, what the C language is, what an algorithm is, and some essential terms like compile, execute, and more. So, what is programming? In programming, you write instructions for your computer, and the computer follows those instructions. Just like a chef follows the instructions written in a recipe book, writing these instructions for the computer is what we call programming. Simply put, telling the computer what to do is called programming. What is a programming language? If you want to give an instruction to someone, you can do it in different languages. For example, if you want your friend to write down his name, you might say in English, write your name. In German, schreib deinen Namen. In Chinese, you might say, 写你的名字. Although the language used is different, the instruction remains the same. Similarly, there are many programming languages like C, C++, Java, and Python that allow us to write the same set of instructions for the computer in various ways. What is an algorithm? An algorithm is a set of step-by-step instructions for the computer to follow. When it comes to cooking, the instructions are written in a recipe book. When it comes to programming, we write the instructions in code editors like code blocks or Visual Studio Code, and then give them to the computer to follow. This process is also known as coding. These instructions can be anything, such as calculating numbers or sorting names. What is compiler? Does the computer understand all these programming languages? The answer is no. In fact, the computer doesn't understand any programming language directly. It only understands machine code, which is a series of zeros and ones. Imagine you have a friend who speaks Chinese while you speak English. Neither of you understands each other's language. To communicate, you need a translator who speaks both languages. Similarly, in programming, since we don't understand machine code and the computer doesn't understand programming languages, we use a translating software called a compiler. This software translates programming languages into machine code. This process is called compiling the code. So it's the compiler that directly understands programming languages, not the computer. Why programming languages? Why not machine code? We don't write code directly in machine code because doing so is extremely challenging. Machine code is composed entirely of zeros and ones, making it difficult to learn and use. Instead, we use programming languages that are more like English. These languages are easier to understand and learn, which speeds up the programming process. The compiler then translates this code into machine code that the computer can execute. Remember, everything in our code is simply a set of instructions for the computer to perform. There are three main stages in programming. Number 1, writing the code. First, we write the code in a programming language like C. This process is known as programming or coding. Number 2, compiling the code. Next, we use a compiler to translate the code from C into machine code. This step is called compilation. Number 3, executing the code. Finally, once the code has been compiled, it is given to the computer to execute. This step involves the computer performing the instructions specified in the code. To write and manage your code effectively, you need a code editor, such as Visual Studio Code or code blocks. In the next two videos, we'll focus on setting up the development environment. First, we'll install and set up Visual Studio Code, which is a bit lengthier to install but highly professional. Then we'll install code blocks, which is easier and quicker to set up. While code blocks is simpler, I recommend using Visual Studio Code for its advanced features. Exercise question. For your exercise, I'd like you to answer this question in the comments section below. What is the language that the computer directly understands? Please write the answer in the comments section. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Feel free to leave your questions in the comments and share this video if you found it helpful. See you next time and happy coding.